As you may know, later this year, Wizards of the Coast is going to be releasing what is now being called the 2024 versions of Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. In those versions, there are going to be some much needed changes, updates, and improvements to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Hi, I'm Gregory, and this is 1 in 20 D&D. Now, in the ttrpg community, especially here on YouTube, there are some amazing creators that have given you their thoughts and their perspective about what's coming, or at least what we anticipate is coming. This, in my opinion, is a long-awaited and highly anticipated new, exciting development for Dungeons & Dragons. So far, what I've heard about the changes sounds really awesome. And in the community here on YouTube, two of those amazing creators are Dan and Daniel from Progressive D&D. And last Friday, they invited me to be a guest on their live stream to discuss the new 2024 Dungeons & Dragons books. And wow, what an awesome conversation we had. While in the background, we were playing Gauntlet, a fantastic video game from my youth. I loved playing it in the arcade, and we just thought it'd be a neat thing to have up in the background while we had this discussion. So please enjoy this awesome conversation. I'm rebroadcasting that live conversation from last Friday. Oh, and one last little thing. This was the very first time that Dan and Daniel streamed anything. So the audio is a little weird at the beginning. There's like some echo thing going on and whatnot, but it improves through the video. It gets much better later on. So please bear with that at the beginning and just enjoy the conversation. And I've got a special message for you at the very end of the video after our conversation. So stick around for that. And here we go.
And we're live. Welcome back, my homies. It's been a hot minute since I've done a video, and I'm super excited about what we're doing. I am joined today by my brother from a different mother, Mr. Dan Moran, and Gregory from 1 in 20 D&D.
Woo!
Yep.
Hello.
So the whole point of this live stream is they're going to play dumb games and talk about D&D. And thinking about D&D is fun, so we should definitely do that. Today we're going to be talking about the 2024 Core Rulebooks coming out from D&D, coming on DnDBeyond, and of course Dungeons & Dragons, and that evil Wizards of the Coast. Dan, what are we playing today?
I think today we're going to try out some Gauntlet Slayer Edition.
All right.
Man, I remember growing up with this game, and this was like D&D before there were D&D games, so this is a fun game.
Yeah. This one is gory though, compared to the other one. Just kind of poofed. This one gets real with it. All right.
Right.
Greg, what are you working on lately? Anything? I've been waiting. I'm
Not a whole
subscribed
lot.
with notifications
I've been playing
on.
some games. I haven't posted a video in ages. Yeah, that's the thing. I've been playing a bunch of games. I have done a tiny bit of recording, but yeah, nothing major yet. But this is hopefully going to get me back in the swing of it and back on track. So yeah, there's things coming.
Well, I'm excited to have you.
Yeah,
on
but
here.
man,
I love your videos.
Man, if any of you have some neat, sorry, we're talking over each other,
Yeah.
learning this new speech.
It's all right.
Hey, man, if you're looking for anything to look at, though, go check out Gregory's channel. I'm sorry, but I've got to shout it out. He did a video a day for a year. There is lots of content out there. I watch you, Gregory, you and I were talking about it, and I watched your villains video. That was pretty awesome. Just your concepts,
Thank you.
trying to determine how villains are developed and everything. So he has some really awesome content out there.
It's got
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. A lot of it should be hopefully evergreen. But like, oh my goodness, I was horrible when I first started doing it. So the early ones are kind of a little cringe, but fun to watch anyway in that regard. But yeah, I had fun. I mean, it was an awesome experience. So, and you know, it's just this is why we're here, right? I love the game. Actually, I love all tabletop role-playing games, really, but especially Dungeons and Dragons. So, you know, the minute Daniel asked me to have a conversation about the 2024 version, I'm like, yes, let's do it.
quick show of hands.
Sure.
Yes,
Quick
have
show of
some.
hands. Who here has already pre-ordered 2024?
I haven't yet, but I intend.
Yeah, it's gonna be me too. I picked it up just the other day, mostly because I couldn't let Dan beat me.
Nice.
I think I beat you, but you were quick behind me. Yeah, so no, I mean, I'm just like you, Gregory, man. I'm super excited about this. To your point, I love Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm not one of those people that's, you know, it's 5th edition, live or die. You know, I'm super excited about the game I love to play being enhanced. It's, you know, it's like when a new campaign book comes out. I'm always excited about those. You know, what's the next step? What are they bringing to us? So I mean, I've had Dan and I actually have a good friend who referred to this new 2024 rules as, oh, it's just a patch. I think this is going to be so much more than just a patch. I know you're super excited about it too.
Oh yeah.
Hey, look, our game's going.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like yeah. I can't like calling it a patch seems a little bit
Reductive.
Yeah, that's not fair. I don't think. I understand the inference or whatnot, but it's going to be so much more than that because they're really from what it seems like all three of us are probably have at least listened to some of the videos with Jeremy Crawford being interviewed about like what's coming.
Is that fair?
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
that fair?
For sure, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think. Have you watched?
I was going to ask who Jeremy Crawford is. I have not seen these videos.
Oh, okay. So
Dungeons and Dragons, the channel, like their
Mhm.
YouTube channel, has been releasing videos. Jeremy is what's he?
I don't-
Is goodness gracious.
I don't know his
One of the
exact title,
directors, I
but
think?
he is essentially the
Yeah.
lead architect of Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Okay.
Him and
More or less.
him and Chris Perkins are kind of the guiding force behind D&D. So, for example, Daniel, I don't know if you've seen the Sage Advice things. Have you ever looked into those?
I mean, I pick up. I don't get a lot of my D&D
Have you heard of
content.
it?
No, I don't get a lot of my
Yeah.
D&D content from Dungeons and Dragons directly. I have a lot of different DMs that I love to watch on YouTube, but they're not generally the. I always kind of see the Dungeons and Dragons YouTube channel as being kind of commercial. You know, it is one big commercial for their product.
Yeah, it's also pretty informative. And I just checked. He's
Oh, God, what
technically
did you
the
do?
lead game developer. Lead rules designer to be specific.
Right.
So
So
he's definitely exceptionally involved in everything D&D. So and he understands the game like because of what he's doing and because he's played it for
Mhm.
ages. He understands it really well. So it's pretty helpful having him describe things. And he was there, but like so, what the videos that I've seen so far have been things where like they talk about the fighter and the breakdown of like what to expect. You know, what did they change? What did they keep? You know, what's new and what's still the same. And it just sounds awesome. Like everything they've been discussing has just got me hyped to play.
For sure. I mean, some of the basic rule changes they're making. I'm going to be looking down at my notes a few times. But the information they're listening to, you know, they did all these play tests, and they had over 40,000 responses to the play test and to the Unearthed Arcana that they did, and they really took those opinions to heart. But little things like, you know, people have always homebrewed health potions being a bonus action.
Yes.
They heard that and they saw that, and they're doing that. That's going to be in the rule book now. Taking a health potion is going to be a bonus action now, purely from the feedback they heard.
That's
And
awesome.
the fact
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
Yep.
I'm gonna adjust my music and sound here real quick because it's a little funky. So they're turning taking a bonus act, or sorry, taking a healing potion into a bonus action.
Yep.
It's about time.
Okay, so that's a great question to start with. Is that how you guys play?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I definitely homebrewed that. Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's always
My
been-
home.
Go ahead.
No, after you.
I was just going to say, yeah, for my homebrew, it's always been, and I will say that I probably got this from Matt Mercer with Roll, but basically it's a bonus action to take it yourself and an action to give it to somebody.
Oh god, that was a
Now,
giant
now,
waste of a
that
key.
piece I don't know about yet, if it's going to be an action to give it to someone. They haven't said that part yet that I've heard. But to take it yourself is definitely a bonus action, for sure.
That was a wasted key. I'm sorry, guys. Oops. I wasn't paying attention. What I was gonna say is, so I similarly play like that. Oh, and there's all the treasure we just lost. Oh well, that's okay. I have been doing it thus. So what I've been doing is, if you take a full action to take the potion, you get maximum
I've heard of that.
healing.
I have.
If you take
okay.
a bonus action, you roll the dice. If you're healing someone else, it still takes a full action, and you roll the dice like normal. So that's how I've been handling it. I really enjoy it, and it seems like my players dig it too. So far it's been a successful endeavor.
Did you know that's an awesome point that you bring up? That so I mean, just like many things online, or pretty much all things online, what you hear is the vocal minority, and I won't even get into that because you can just look at some of my videos and you'll see the vocal minority. I hope they're vocal minority, but
Right.
to your point, this is still D&D. You can run the rules any way you want. So what they're doing is they've expanded it, made it kind of some taken into these the ideas that the players have wanted. What was it? Something else. This was one that came up with the they're given a breakdown of all the subclasses and the abjurer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, did you
Okay.
see where a bonus action to cast Dispel Magic, and if it doesn't go off, you don't lose your spell slot.
Oh wow.
To me-
Well, I don't remember that specifically. However, what I do remember is that they've made a lot of little, how do I say, like changes that are turning certain actions into bonus actions and making it like especially core features of a class, making it way easier to accomplish it. So like the what do you call it?
I don't need food.
Hunter's mark and that kind of thing. Whatever it is that's sort of a quintessential element of your character, they've really tried to enhance or improve all of it. So I'm super excited about that kind of
What do
thing.
you guys think of the wild shape changes?
What was that?
What do you
What
guys
was
think
that?
of the wild shape changes?
That's so funny. I don't remember what they said in the Druid video, so I'm not sure if I remember
think-
them. You got
The thing I remember mostly, and Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, is that wild shape is no longer going to be quite as hit point spongy as it was, meaning that it's going to be less dependent on the monster. It's just you're going to not be pulling such huge monsters with huge beasts with huge hit points anymore. It's going to be based. I think it's some level times something.
Dan, you should get the food.
Well, it's going to be
Oh, right.
two things from my understanding. Again, this is I certainly am not exhaustive my knowledge on it, but from what I was understanding is it's going to be you're going to get temporary hit points for
Mhm.
the whatever type of beast you take.
Yeah.
So you're still going to have your bank of hit points, and then you're going to get temporary hit points. So to that point, it's not like someone can change themselves into a brown bear, get your, I guess it's like 33 hit points, exhaust that and still have all your hit points. You might get now, you may still get like 20 temporary hit points, and then that'll go down. the other thing I kind of like, and I don't know, I guess this just depends on how much people like getting into the rules. But to me, for classes, the simpler they can make them to play, the more they're going to get played.
Yeah.
So for example,
totally.
with like Wild Shape, it's not going to necessarily have to have a monster manual open to see, okay, what are all the different beasts I can play?
Right.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm taking this beast form or this one form. I don't know exactly what it's going to be called, but you can flavor it however you want. You can say it's an owlbear. Even though an owlbear is not a beast, you can say what it is. Is it just?
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, so I mean, to me, I mean, honestly, that's one of the reasons I hardly ever played Druid, Wild Shape, is because I never knew what all can I play or what have I seen. Right? To me, that was always, as a DM, which I DM more than I play.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was hard for me. Someone's playing a Druid, and I would have to say, well, did you see it? Could you have seen that in your past? It's like that, to me, that always slowed the game way down and made it,
Oh, I
So
died.
I guess to answer your question, Daniel, I think they're making rules to make it easier to play.
Should we go back and get that room? We got a key.
Sure, let's do it.
Well, one of the things I like is
Finish your thought, Dan.
about that whole thing is I feel like Wild Shape can be a little bit unpredictable to try and DM, especially at lower levels where it's so wildly overpowered, especially if it's Circle of Moon. That I like that they kind of leveled that out a little bit. Have you guys died yet, or is it just me? Am I the only loser?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I died for sure.
No, but I'm also ranged, so.
A little easier for you. You need the food.
I don't, do I? No, I don't.
Dan should get
Dan should get the
Here
food.
we go.
Num, num, num.
Here we go.
So one of the cool things I heard today, and Dan, you can relate to this because I don't know, Gregory, if you've played Baldur's Gate 3, but
I haven't.
What?
well,
He's
Dan
the guy. We
has-
found
I
him.
really want to.
We found the guy.
Dan has
It's just one of
completed
those
it.
things.
So I bring
Nice.
this up specifically because I know Daniel's completed the game.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
so one of the things Jeremy
And we're gonna
Crawford
spoil
mentioned today
everything.
was he was talking about some of the different spells, and while they were going through this whole process, like one of the spells that he basically played in Baldur's Gate 3 was a Cloud of Daggers, and he said he realized how horrible that spell is
How
in 5th
effective it is.
edition. It has been.
Oh, horrible it is.
Yeah, he said he hated using that spell on Baldur's Gate 3. So they specifically in the new rule set changed the spell because of his experience. They made it to where
Interesting.
you can now move it. Basically, he said
Yes,
you
yes,
cast
yes.
it, it's in one spot, and the enemy just moves out of it and it's done, right?
Yeah.
He said now you can use a bonus
Yeah,
action
it was
to move
very frustrating.
it. So to me, that's just cool that they're always thinking about the rules. They're always thinking about how they can enhance them. So
Right.
and again, I'm going to sound like a Jeremy Crawford fanboy, probably through a lot of this to a lot of people. But to me, he's just watching him and how energetic he is about the game. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's nice
that they're not just developers, they actually enjoy and play the game.
Wait, who won here? Who? Oh, God. Who's the elf?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
Dan?
That's
Crushed
me.
it.
Somebody was practicing this game ahead of time, obviously.
No. Now hang on, Dan. I said I'm the greediest
Oh.
hero. That's probably because you guys were in the middle of the fight and I was picking up all the gold.
Well, I died 3 times, so who cares?
Dan, I think Dan's heard my conspiracy theory about the pre-order. Have you?
What's that?
Okay, I got to show you if we could pause while Dan sets us up with the
Yeah,
next
sure.
one.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to
Go
pull
ahead,
up a
yeah.
browser. I want to
Okay,
show
just
you
tell me
some
when you-
wording.
Hold that thought until we.
I got fireworks going on outside. In Georgia, we just keep doing it. You know?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is obviously the pre-order screen for D&D Beyond the digital. I bought the digital because I love the books. I love having them. You know, I just never open them. I always just search for what I want. But here's the thing that's kind of wild about the wording here, and it has to do with that damn gold dragon. It says here the book
Okay.
and a 50th anniversary golden dragon digital mini. So that's cool. We know what that is, right? We're talking about the new 3D VTT that D&D Beyond or Dungeons & Dragons is coming out with, right? Greg, you're familiar with it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yep.
I think Greg froze up. Hopefully he'll come back.
Oh.
Let's get,
But yeah, I know you and I have been talking about
there
that.
he is. I think, yeah, you locked up for a second, Greg.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, so what I said was I checked out the beta, like the virtual tabletop when it very first came out. I haven't run a game with it or anything like that.
Let
'cause it
me
was just
interrupt you
too-
for let me interrupt you
sure.
for a second. We're not talking about maps. We're talking about the 3D VTT that they're coming out with. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the beta has not released. The maps is a 2D kind of Roll20-ish looking one. We're talking about the 3D, and it's. I did a whole video on it where I picked apart the entire trailer for it. But it's exciting. It looks like Baldur's Gate. Am I wrong on that? It looks just like Baldur's Gate, but it's a VTT.
Yeah, for sure.
But here is why
I was misunderstanding and maybe not realizing that.
Yeah.
And I probably saw that video too. So now I'm gonna go back and have to review it.
There's a couple of them. But if you look at the wording on this, it says that you get the 50th anniversary Golden Dragon if you pre-order.
Right.
But it says the Golden Dragon is releasing with the closed beta of the 3D virtual tabletop. So if they're going to give you a Golden Dragon mini, and it's going to release with the closed beta, then I think it's reasonable to assume that pre-ordering the books will get you into the closed beta, because how do they give you the token without you being in the beta?
Could be.
So that's the
a
primary
very good
reason why I
guess.
did it, because I really, really like the idea of a 3D VTT if you do a couple of things right on it. But that's my conspiracy theory.
I love Dan's theory because that was actually, it was funny. We talked about that. That was the first mention of the virtual tabletop since, what did we say, Dan, a year ago?
Oh, I was about to
It's
start
been-
making fun of them.
Yeah, it's been crickets. I
Interesting.
honestly, to your point, I did a video on maps, and I love maps. And they just, I need to do another video because they've added a bunch of things I talked about in my video.
Right on.
But so I'm thinking about doing an update, my maps update video. But to that point, I was going, man, they're spending a lot of time on maps. What's going on with the virtual tabletop? And then this came out of nowhere. It's kind of under the radar. It's kind of like they slipped it in. So yeah,
Interesting.
I hope Daniel's right on that one.
Me too.
So question,
That's
so if
eh,
exciting.
are we ready to, are we going to try Catacombs? I don't think we've even tried this one yet.
Yeah, I'll kick
I got
I'll
kicked
kick it
out.
off.
I might need to re. I
Oh,
don't
you
know
gonna send
how
him
I
an
can
invite?
do it again.
Yep, I'm sending you an invite right now. There you go.
While he's joining. So
Sorry.
if our player sheets are through D&D Beyond, and I am an avid D&D Beyond player sheet person, that's why I go there, is I create characters and I run characters out of there. And the 2024 is going to tweak those character sheets. What happens there? Do we now have the ability to create 5e characters versus 2024 characters? Like, how do they
Interesting.
work that?
Good question.
It's something to find out.
I have not seen any word
Oh,
on
you
that
mean
yet.
if it's like, are you gonna have access to, let's call it like legacy rules?
That might be it. You know, at the beginning, they always have like, do you want homebrew? Do you want to do milestone? You know, at the very first screen when you're creating a character, it might just say 5e or 2024, depending on if you own one or the other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a great
So
question.
my theory on that is that, I mean, obviously they're going to have to leave the legacy rules in there.
Yeah.
But my bet is it's going to be on new adventures. You'll see them linked to the new rules, because that. Well, what's the point of saying they're going to be legacy? You know, rules are going to be backwards compatible, basically. If you're going to update all the previous source books, and then you're almost making people buy the new source books. You know, if Strahd, Curse of Strahd, you suddenly say, okay, it's been revamped with the new rules. The three of us may not mind because we're going to have the new books and we're going to be excited. But all these people that you told, you know, you don't have to buy these new books to keep playing the games. You know, I don't think you'd want to. Oh, man, I just died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
know
coming
you guys
back to
keep-
life.
You gotta hit F.
I mean, nothing's working. I'm on controller, so mine would be A. I think I don't think we can cheat this one. So
Uh-oh.
good luck.
Oh.
Have to wait till
I'm
he
sure
dies.
you can come back.
And
I've come back like 4 times.
Jumps away.
In this map? Or the previous one?
This one. At least I died once or twice already, I think, on this one.
Really?
Yeah, I should be able to come back.
Well, it's not letting us.
Bizarre.
That's what happens when you really get killed.
No. I died like 5 times. There's no way.
Maybe there's a checkpoint or something. We can't continue until we, I don't know. Just die. We'll start over.
Yeah, for sure. I can do that. I'm going to die anyway trying to fight. Yeah, there it goes.
Oh, God, that is brutal.
Exploded. Deader than dead.
You got smoothied.
Right, here we go. Retry. There we go. Probably.
Oh, yeah, we should probably be a little bit more careful.
Well,
we're supposed to be talking.
Really
oh, God.
Yeah, we're having talk more than play, so that's okay. Wait, let's get the other stuff.
There's a potion back there, but I'd be careful with this dude. Like, he's straight up.
That's death. Yeah, just to avoid it.
Yeah, so some of another cool thing that, and I think this is going to actually, I don't know, it's kind of sounds minor. So I think a lot of people are going to say it is, but I don't know if you've seen they're changing inspiration to heroic inspiration. And it's just something as simple as, instead of just having a D20 you can reroll, if you've got inspiration, you can reroll any die you want. It can be a damage die. It can be a saving throw. I
do like that.
But yeah, I think little things like that, and that's definitely different than what they proposed in the Unearthed Arcana. Oh, great! Now I'm the only one left.
Yeah, we gotta stop running into death.
Can't help you guys, huh?
Maybe that's why we can't come back is because of him. Like he's just
possibly.
The
heroic inspiration sounds really exciting. There's just so many little things that I was stoked about, and I haven't even finished listening to all the videos. What's for sure, I don't think I finished listening to the Druid, and I am pretty sure there's at least 1 or 2 others that I haven't listened to. I listened to the Barbarian, the Fighter. What else? A bunch of them. There was one that was a really long video. It was the first one they released, and I'm wondering if that's all like the. You should just run from him.
I'm gonna go and die.
I think that's the strategy. Just run.
Yeah, we just gotta avoid it.
Yeah.
So I am very keen to see what I like the fact. Okay. On one level, I like the fact that they're releasing 1 book at a time because it'll give us like a minute to digest what's in there. On the other hand, I'm kind of like, I really want it all at once.
Yeah, I know.
I just because that's how I play. It's like I use all of the material together.
Yeah, for sure.
So how am I?
Oh my God, the monster manual doesn't come out until like early next year. Like, it's a long wait.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me, because I mean, I guess it's fine, but...
No, that's a great point, because as a DM, it's going to be tough, right? I already have my players asking me, basically, are we going to need the new rules? And part of me saying, well, no, you don't need the new rules. It's not mandatory. And I'm thinking, well, as I'm DMing, though, at a certain point, I'm going to say, yeah,
I don't have the third key. I don't have the third key.
Okay. Oh, I have it, I think.
Yeah, it's all good. Sorry, as you're looking at the new rules, say it again.
Yeah, no, just to the point of how the new handbook's going to be great, and I'm sure they've planned for this. I mean, I give them the benefit of the doubt, even though a lot of people don't. I'm sure they've considered how are we going to be able to play as DMs with all the new rules, but not having the Dungeon Master guide. So. It'll be.
I went right into death instead of away from death.
The one thing is a little weird, right? Like the idea that oh God, I think I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 2024 monster manual is coming out in 2025.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's bizarre. Like March or something is coming out. I don't have it in front of me, but
yeah, it's like February, but still, yeah, your point's taken.
Yeah. Like that's weird.
To revive there, Daniel.
Oh, I can. Oh, I can. Oh, why is it different now?
I think there's a limit. Like maybe it's 2 deaths or 3 deaths or something.
Oh, we're gonna need to hack that for next time. I'm not trying to be good at this game.
No, likewise. We just gotta avoid death. Just stay away from him.
I think that's
Elf,
kind of
come
the
get the food.
Goal, Wait, oh god, he's got a new thing now. He like flashes green. Wait, okay, are we going in here? Because
I'm coming.
okay.
Just trying to get rid of death.
I don't need the food.
I need it.
I don't even need the food. But yeah, I'm excited for the rule books. Is somebody skipping food that they should be eating? I'm just saying. Oh god, he's back.
Well, I was about to try to eat it, but it killed me. One shot. Yeah. Another one of the subclasses that I've never played that sounds really cool to play now is the Soul Knife.
Yes. Okay, that's great. Let's talk about this. So I've been playing since Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I've played all the editions. I didn't really do much with 3.5. The friends I was gaming with at the time just weren't into it. I got the books because I wanted to try it. I love rules crunch. So I was into it. And they just never got around to getting any of the books. They didn't want to do it. So, like, I play with the group that I've been gaming with since I was in high school, and I just turned 50. So we've been playing together for over 30 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is. We're at like 35 years of gaming together. And
oh wow,
at least some of us, right? So
we can come back.
Yeah, so we play a heavily modified version of second edition. My best friend, who has been our DM almost since the beginning, has taken the rules from second edition and advanced or changed or just like tweaked, added spells, this kind of stuff. But I loved fourth edition. I enjoyed second edition. I really think fifth edition is amazing. In earlier editions, we had Psionics.
Yep.
And it has been sorely missing from fifth edition. And the ones that have been put out there either through UA or through homebrew kind of stuff have all been sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. Just not very exciting or way too overpowered. And like the ones that I've seen at least. So when they started talking about how they're like the Psi Knife or whatever they're doing to actually bring psionics into the game now, that got me. That was one of the things that got me really excited about the 2024 version. Is
you can revive now.
Let's bring that. No, it's not letting. Oh, yep, there it was. It just popped up. Yeah, it wasn't there a moment before.
I was going to ask you guys. I forget his name. He's a pretty popular D&D streamer or YouTuber, but he did some homebrews for inspiration. You mentioned that earlier, and then we had the cutout, so I forgot to mention it. But I've used decks of cards for inspiration, where basically they would get where they would. They'd have inspiration. I would draw a deck of cards based to figure out how much of a bonus they would get to their current roll, as a way to, add to their current rolls. It was just a way to mix it up a little bit. But an ace would be an auto crit, like that kind of thing. So it had some fun things to it. But God, this got real.
Yeah, there's a key over in the corner there that I dropped, so you better get it.
Am I the only one alive? Oh, you guys are just terrible.
At the moment. Well, I just died. I was trying to get away from death, and unfortunately, again, I just died. So
yeah,
it's the way it goes.
Yeah. Along those lines, Dan. So this is actually my daughter, who I'm super lucky. I have a daughter who loves D&D and had some awesome mom.
Yeah, you are.
Father-daughter time.
Nice. My son, I turned my son on to playing too. We'll talk about that in a minute. Finish your thought.
Yeah, she started DMing.
You both can revive and help me if you want to.
And critical hit and critical roll cards. So you get a critical hit and you can draw from the deck. And like one may just be double damage, but you have like triple damage. One card's like insta death. It's just it adds a cool layer to that. So I think it just gets back to this is still I stole something from Acquisition Incorporated, and I'll keep it PG to keep us from being demonetized. But the phrase "it's D&D mother trucker."
Okay.
Because we always say that.
I know what you're talking about.
Anytime anybody asks, "Can I do something?" Yeah, absolutely, you can do it. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
And it's just, I think people forget that when they start getting upset about pitching.
There was a thing maybe it was just my experience, but there was a thing for a long time where it was like, it was gaming, and especially Dungeons and Dragons was almost like a competitive thing where it was like the players against the DM.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing that happens at tables that I've seen and I've experienced, and it's sort of unintentional, I think, but
Oh, no,
it
no, no,
happens
no.
too easily. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Um,
Go.
yeah, I'm running.
Oh, did we lose?
Oh, nice guys.
You'll come back in.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is really like, okay, at the same time that I started making videos, I was also watching a lot of stuff to get better as a DM. I love Critical Role. I'm still a huge Critical Role fan.
Me too.
And I've tried to learn from Matt Mercer and just like all of these other amazing DMs out there that I've seen or listened to. And I want to hang on a sec. Let me just
Yeah.
because I keep getting distracted. So, one of the things that hit me really early on from watching people on YouTube was, and I'm sure you've heard it, is the rule of cool, right?
Absolutely.
Is like games should be an opportunity for us to live out our wildest fantasies. If your fantasy is to like swing from the chandeliers, then go for it. You know, if your fantasy is to, you know, be the ultimate necromancer, cool, whatever it is, right? Like, go for it. So I love the whole like language of, especially Matt Mercer has popularized, like, you can certainly try.
Yeah.
And just giving that freedom to the players of like, look, you can try anything. If it works, well, that's what the dice are for.
Yep.
You know, we're gonna figure out if it works. And it's, to me, as when I'm a DM, I am trying to keep the mindset of like, all I'm here to do is determine the results of what the players try to do.
Yeah.
Not to tell them what they can or can't do, for the most part, unless it's very explicit in the rules. But I'm really there to just figure out, how does it work.
Yeah, no, I
You know,
agree
like,
with that.
I want to jump across, like right here. I'm going to jump across this chasm. Okay, it's 30 feet. How are you going to do that as a human being? Okay, some people can actually jump 30 feet, but that's like, I mean, like long jump, I think long jump records are under 30 feet. So exactly, how are you going to do this, right? So yeah. But if you've got some creative solution, I love it. That's what it's all about.
Sure.
And I would say, Dan, playing with kids, you probably get this a lot. Like, I don't know how old your daughter is. My son is he just turned 11. And so I run a game for him and a few of his friends. They're all about the same age.
Okay.
They have a very different perspective and idea, and they don't have the experience that I do or you do, right? I've been playing this for a long dang time. So it's a little easier in some ways for me to be creative because I know that I can do it. Whereas for them, it's like it's all new. So it's like I've got to kind of coach them into coming up with creative solutions, which is really fun. And so it's like, I hope that there's more of that explicitly in the books.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
especially the Dungeon Master's Guide of like, yo, be cool with your players. Let them do what they want to do, you know?
Yeah.
I
Have
blame
fun.
players.
So that's what.
Players
Yeah.
Say it
talking
again?
smack to DMs. I think that's half the reason you create these DMs that like to get adverse to their players. Is, well, that was easy. All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now that's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
That comes down to like, do you pull punches?
Mm.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you shouldn't.
I'm guilty of that, and here's why. It's because, and this kind of I think goes along with what you're saying, Gregory. Is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, grab that.
It's all good.
So here's an
wow.
example. So I play with
That was
all adults. To answer your question, my daughter's 27.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I have 2 grandkids, 2 future D&D players.
Nice. Yes.
But to your point though, so what that generally means is you have a lot of spouses who are like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you going over there again this week?" And which her husband But to that point, though, we have other players that have played with me for 6 or 7 years that I mentioned in my last video.
Mhm.
And like one of them has a spouse who doesn't play, and she doesn't get it. So to your point, one of the things I try to explain to her, and this is how I look at D&D. Bottom line on top, like you said, I'm the dungeon master. I'm the one who guides them. But to me, it's an interactive story. That's how I try. Yeah, there's rules, there's things you can do, but at the end of the day, it's an interactive story. So to me,
Yeah.
my goal as a DM is to make every one of those players enjoy that story. Their own personal story, maybe. I'm not great at that. I'm not great at tying in backgrounds and things like that. I could get better. I'm certainly not
That just
master
takes
at that.
practice.
But to the end of the day, dying isn't fun unless it's some heroic thing or a funny thing. I'll admit, if you have the right player and you can do a funny death, I'll accept it. That can be hilarious, right?
Right.
So that's another memory.
Sure.
So I mean, to your point, I know what you're saying is, and to Daniel, your point, are the DMs against the players or the players for them? But I'd be lying if there hasn't been a point where players have been doing something that just really irritated me. I said, all right, this is how you want to go.
Yeah. Rocks fall, you die.
This is what's going to happen. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is, the other side of that stinks, because I've actually, unfortunately, had an experience where I did not intentionally. Oh, dang it! I did not intentionally do it, but I accidentally put the players in a situation where there was like a real potential for a TPK, and I basically like we finished the session, and I was like, I'm sorry, y'all, because it wasn't my intention to do this. I just put it's one of the things that's really tricky in 5e is the action economy. Yeah. It's like you have this function where when there's 5 players against 1 monster, it's really fairly easy. When it's 1 player against 5 monsters, okay, so the ratios are super important and can get out of hand way too quickly. So I had like a couple of second level players, and they were all relatively inexperienced players. And I just threw too many things their way, and it got out of hand. And had an experience of like, oh shoot. So to the point of like, I don't pull punches, meaning like I'm going to make stuff difficult. And the reason I do that is because as a DM, we only have so many tools at our disposal. And what I found is the players love exploiting combos and advantages and little quirks and thing about the game, to the point of like you put I imagine you've had the experience where you set up a game. Let me get the food. You set up a game, or let's say an encounter, rather, not a game. You set up an encounter, and you think this is going to be so tough. I hope they can survive, and they just blow through it in like moments, in like a round or two. And you go like, wait a minute, how did that happen? Or the opposite end of the spectrum, you create something you think, oh, this will be easy, or no trouble at all, and it nearly wipes them out. And you're like, wait a minute, how did that happen? So, it's such a challenge.
Does 2025 address this at all, or is this still? I mean, I don't know how you avoid this problem. When a turn-based game, you're going to have action economy. From what I remember them saying about the DMG, I think they're including some rules about balancing. I believe they're including some specifics about balancing.
Okay. Yeah, I think they are.
I might be misremembering, but I think I recall Jeremy saying something.
No, I think they are. But I think another thing they're doing, and which I have experienced, especially playing like a high-level cleric. High-level clerics, historically, you get into, you get really excited when you get high enough. So I have my highest level cleric, my highest level character is a level 20 cleric who went through Tomb of Annihilation and
nice.
but you get to your 9th, so you finally get that 9th level spell slot, they didn't have really anything. It was almost anticlimactic.
Oh no.
So a couple of things I know.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, so one thing they're doing, obviously, well, not obviously, but one thing they are doing is, one, the higher level spells that should be really game changing, they're making game changing, which is cool. But they're also making higher level CR monsters really tough.
Well, I'm excited about. I was just sorry. It was that
Go ahead.
thing got me distracted. I'm really excited about what they're doing with the monster manual.
Yeah,
Like adding tons and tons of, because like there's all kinds of third party stuff, right? So there are books that we can get that bring in all kinds of new monsters and stuff. And if you get like a new adventure, like like you said, the what do you call it? Oh God, Prince of the Apocalypse, the Horror of the Dragon Queen. Any of these modules are going to have new monsters and stuff, which is great. But adding so many new things just straight to the monster manual sounds really good to me. Let me get that food. Never mind.
Oh, I needed it too. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I think you needed it too. That's exciting to me. So I'm really looking forward to what they do. I actually, for the first time ever this past year in a game I'm running, I made my own character. I made my own monster rather. And I had a ton of fun doing it. Because what I've found is that I don't feel like there's a very good variety of things at certain levels.
Right.
For instance, like second level, like I don't think there's a lot of good like CR.
Oh God, somebody needs that read. Okay.
Creatures, So like I came up with my own creature that was what I felt like a good challenge for my players. It was a devil. It had an interesting mechanic. Whatever. It was very basic, very simple, but it was so much fun to do it. I really hope that in the new DMG and the new monster manual, they address some of that. They said they're like, it's like 100 new monsters or something crazy.
Yeah,
I can't wait to
like that.
Oh no, I died.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what it's like.
I feel like old players, experienced players like you guys would hate my games because I'll take like a vampire is a prominent point in my current family game with my wife and kids. But I have bastardized it to the point that like just certain things that about them like has nothing to do with the book. But I was just like, I don't like the idea that a vampire can't go outside or it's burning or something in the middle of the daytime. So, I just allow them to wear makeup and then they're fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all because honestly, two points. One, if you have players who have never played before, they're not going to know, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And as the DM, you're probably going to know how to balance. Hopefully, you at least know how to balance pretty well. But two, as a DM, we've experienced so many of the creatures. You bring something so I'm the type of DM who's I'm not going to be a rules lawyer. If you tell me your monster can do this, I'm going to say, F yeah, that's awesome. I've never experienced that before. Let's do it.
Totally.
As opposed to, I read it on page 132 on Monsters Manual. This is all they can. That kind of, and this is a topic for probably another stream. That metagame type stuff.
Yeah, metagaming.
I'm just to say, I've been in games where I've heard a player say, "Oh, hang on, I'm opening the monster manual." To me, there's very few things that I will.
No way! I would get real upset
get away
about
from my
that.
table. Well,
yes, I would have words with that kind of
you all
player.
die, but
yeah, that's
or you
not
die.
fun at all.
The one with the monster manual.
That's.
So I guess my other So I guess that was my 2 points, Dan. So no, I think that's awesome. So here's another. We can touch on this a little bit, but I think this will make another great topic for a stream. Is AI, right? ChatGPT is a great place to go to create a monster.
Sure.
I had a homebrew game I was running that I needed a really high level cleric, a bad dude, and I went to ChatGPT and I said, create me this kind of character, and it did with legendary resistances and stuff. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Back here, you little bow.
You have a fan in the chat that's saying he loves that you don't know what the game, like you don't know the history of the game. But see, that comes down to me. That comes down to there. So, like metagaming sucks, right? And I feel like experienced players, like call it professional players, if you really want to, avoid it at all costs.
I don't know how you can say professional player.
Yeah,
That's no. What does that even mean?
I know, it's silly.
Yeah, that's gatekeeping.
I just mean someone who's been playing it, someone who
experienced
really
players,
experienced players, right? Exactly, that's what I mean. Well, no, I'm saying like if you watch, if you watch Critical
I don't
Role
need the food.
or Dimension 20 or some of the other game tables that are very popular, they're streamers and that kind of thing. What I've noticed is very few players, if any, metagame, and most of them are super aware of it to the point of being like, "Oh, that's a little metagaming. I shouldn't really do that." Like they'll kind of catch themselves. Yeah, exactly. The only time I've ever experienced that sort of thing, where somebody, like you just said as an example, Dan, is like pull out the monster manual and check it. Like, I've only experienced that in private games, or at like maybe at a game store or something, like a public game at a game store. Or something.
Right.
I think whereas like, yeah, in private games, it's like, no, it doesn't really seem to happen. And in games where like I'm saying, like whenever I'm in a stream or if I'm, doing things with people that have that kind of level of experience, I've never experienced it. Quite the opposite. Like people do what they can to avoid it. And so I want to make a sort of a parallel to that, because I feel like something that a person who is an experienced player will do is recognize that every GM DM runs their own game. They're going to play the game the way they play the game. So if you take one person and give them, like I'm running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you give one person Waterdeep Dragon Heist, they're going to run it a certain way.
I need the food.
You give it to me, I'm going to run it my way. You give it to somebody else, it's going to be a third way. So we as players should recognize that it's like the DM is going to set certain standards and create a certain what do I want to say, like ambiance or mood or theme, or they're going to set the tone, let's say, that's probably the best way, of the table and the game, right? And it should be, I shouldn't say has to be, it should be, in my opinion, something that was well established before the game even started. Hopefully, all the players and the GM work it out together that, like, okay, we're going to play, this kind of a game, and everybody's on board. That's one of the things that makes a session 0 so great. So like metagaming to me is an avoidable thing, but yeah, I would certainly have a problem with somebody pulling out a monster manual or even to some degree the DMG, unless they're trying to help me. Like if they're actually trying, like if I'm the GM and they're like, oh, I can look that up for you, I'm okay with that for most part. Whereas like, yeah, somebody's like, oh, I know, we just need fire. It's a troll. Like, all right, where is it metagaming and where is it common knowledge? Is it okay? Does a commoner know? You have to ask this in your world or in the world of, say, Faerun. Do commoners know that trolls could be defeated with fire?
Right.
I don't know. Adventurers probably do after some experience. For certain, once you face the troll, you're going to know it. But have you faced a troll? Those are the questions we as players need to like ask ourselves. It's like, did my player, has this character seen this thing?
Exactly right.
Like I know certain creatures are immune to everything except for magical weaponry, right? But just because I don't have a magic weapon doesn't mean I'm not going to attack that creature, because my character doesn't know that yet, right?
But that's the thing that bothers me as the DM, and we're way off of 2024 at this point, but
Oh, well, yeah, it's
Because
okay.
my players tend to be new players, and one thing I never want to do is kill a player, and I do this to a fault. And Dan, you'll appreciate this because I've done it to you. Is that I never want my players to die to something I don't think they had enough information to make an educated decision on.
Very much, yeah.
And so when you're dealing with new players, that's almost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I find myself in a habit of coddling players because of that.
Yeah, what I found effective and what I ended up doing, I put a lot of thought in this because it really upset me that I pretty much was TPKing my party without meaning to. And what I did was I took back to what Dan said something about a moment ago, or a few minutes ago, about incorporating background or the actual characters into the story. One of the players is playing a warlock that is the what's it called? The what's the weapon focused one?
Oh, the
goodness.
Frank, you're about dead.
My brain.
I'm
I
not
know
opening
brain
this.
exactly
fart.
what you're talking
Okay, I'm going to open this and I'm going to run because you're about to die.
no, I know exactly what
Oh
you're talking
goodness,
about.
why can't I think of it?
It's they can summon the sword. They can.
Yes, exactly.
Um,
I want to say Blade Singer, and that's not right at all. It's driving me nuts. Oh my goodness.
Pact of the Blade.
Pact of the Blade, thank you. So Pact of the Blade, and so he's playing this character that, you know, has this pact, and I'm like, okay. So what I did was I narrated a scene whereby his patron told him, I have just given you a vision for the future. You need to make better choices. This is what, you know, I've given you this power and I expect you to use it in a certain way or something like, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, putting it in whatever words now, but I had this like very specific way to tell him, if you don't protect your friends, if you don't protect your companions, if you don't use the skills I've given to you, you're all gonna die. And then I rewinded essentially time, like a moment or three, whatever, like, you know, maybe like 2 rounds or something. So instead of having, they were facing Durgar basically, and so they were facing 3 Durgar, and then I had like 3 more jump into combat, and that's when it started getting out of hand. And it was like, or like 3 Durgar and like an orc or an ogre or something else that was kind of big and burly, whatever it was. I think it was an ogre. And yeah, so I rewound it and sort of settled it down a little bit, and let them redo the encounter, rather because the other
Really?
option
You
would
gave
be
a
like,
do-over.
okay, essentially, yeah. But I made it narrative and I made it part of the story, and I tied it into one of the characters, like directly.
Oh, no.
The other option would have been, for instance, like I told them, I'm like, you know, look, we could do this as like you all get what do you call it? Captured. You become prisoners because you're in a prison cell. You're searching for prisoners. You're searching for people that have been kidnapped. So I can do that, or I could do this other thing that might be kind of exciting and interesting. And so they opted for the more exciting and interesting one, and it was I felt like for my players it was satisfying.
Right.
They understood, they accepted the fact that I made a mistake. Like, and I told them outright, I'm like, you know, look, this is just my personal lack of experience. Because here's the thing, I've been playing for 35 years, but I've only been running games for like 5.
Right.
Like, I don't have a ton of maybe a little bit more than 5, but I don't have a ton of experience as a GM. So for me, that was a huge learning experience. Like, I really goofed, and it was fun. It turned out to be fun.
But
I hope that they
go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, that goes back to balancing, right?
It does. Yeah, it definitely goes back to balancing, but it also goes back to kind of what a lot of this, what we've been talking about as far as, and again, there's no way to solve this part. This isn't 20, you know, to your point, Dan, it's not 2024 related. It's there's people who try to win Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yes.
To me, those are the people who what is it? Flub rolls, not flub. That's the wrong word, but
Sure.
Yeah,
no, that's
fake
right.
rolls,
Flub, yeah, that's fake rolls, yeah, whatever.
Or to your, what we were saying as far as looking up players. Part of my, and I did, maybe I said earlier that I would kick them from the table, and I honestly, I probably wouldn't. But what I generally, my thought process on most things like that is these people probably have other things going on in their life that if they think they need to cheat at D&D, there's something else probably going on that,
No, I don't agree.
No doubt.
I don't agree at all. I think if somebody cheats, I can't play with them. I mean, the game is so loose to begin with that if you start cheating, then all we're doing is just sitting around telling stories. Like if the game has no rules, then what's the point?
Right.
The rules are what that's one of the things that fascinated me when I first touched any book for D&D when I was a kid was, you have this thing that was essentially make it, right? But it was it had numbers next to it, which made it real.
Yeah.
And the second you start ignoring those numbers, it's no longer real.
Yeah, that speaks to a conversation that I have a lot with different people, and why different people prefer different systems. So Dungeons and Dragons is very much a combat system. It is a game that is very combat oriented and focused. And the narrative element of it, like, let me say it a different way. I played Dungeons and Dragons for years, actually decades, before I learned anything about role playing. Like real role playing. We thought role playing was like, I'm a fighter, so my role is to get up in front and hit stuff with a sword. You know what I mean? Playing the role of like the tank or the healer. That was our idea of role playing.
Yep.
I watched Critical Role and I'm like, oh my goodness. They're acting this character out. They're taking on this character and being the character. They're having conversations. We were always saying conversations in like third person or whatever. Like my character says. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And once I started seeing that, I'm like, oh no, I can play this game entirely differently, and started doing that. It completely changed the game for me in great ways.
Right.
So I love that. So one of the things that's really fascinating, and I'm curious about in what they're doing in 5th edition, is how are they going to address, like, some players love crunch, some players don't. Some players want lots of tricky, intense rules. Some players don't. So I'm curious to see how they address some of that in the new rule set. Is it going to be rules light enough that it just feels fun and fluid? Or is it going to be sort of like, is there because I feel like a lot of people had that problem with 3rd edition, 3.5 specifically, and to some degree Pathfinder. It's like too much crunch.
Right.
It's too many rules. It gets. It's like they need to do. They feel like they need to do calculus versus like, can we just tell a story and have fun? So I'm curious where the new 2024 rules lay, where they land. Do they feel like overwhelmingly complicated or just a nice balance of fun with?
I don't know if there's enough of a departure.
The food warrior
to make a difference.
Well, I'm sorry, Daniel. Say it again.
I don't know if there's going to be. It's not a redefinition or redesign, right? It's a tweak.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if there's going to be enough meat in the changes to make a functional change like that. That is.
Yeah.
Core to the game itself.
If I were to make my, if anything, I hate to say it.
Prediction?
I don't want to say hate to say it because to me, for my story-driven narratives, that's how I like to DM. I prefer it to be easier, and I think that's probably what it's going to be. I think it's going to be more balanced. I think they were.
I hope so.
I think they are looking at things that just taking it back to the 2024 stuff. I think they looked I don't think Jeremy Crawford said as much. They looked at every spell, and especially spells that have never been used because they just weren't functional.
Right.
I mean, there's a couple examples they used were what was it? My notes again really. It just died. what were the two? Blade Ward and Resistance. Those cantrips. They said in 10 years, those spells have probably never been used by anybody. So, and that's probably an exaggeration, but to their point, they said, why weren't they used? What can we do to make them
How do we
so they're
improve
fun?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally.
For me,
that's what's got me the most excited. It sounds to me like from all the videos, there was a thread, in my opinion, and that was rebalancing. What you just said, is they really tried to focus, number one, what's going to make it fun for players, and number two, how do we rebalance the different subclasses, the different playable classes, you know, and so forth, to make it more like the where there was holes, let's fill those holes, and where people loved certain things, how do we maintain that? Which that's what sounds exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Who died?
It's like we know the thief is all about what do you call it? Sneak attack, right? So it's like you can't take away sneak attack from a thief, you know? So how do we make sneak attack a little bit better?
For sure.
It sounds like they really nailed it.
And using that, what was that, Ray of Death or something? Yeah, and to that point, a perfect example, you know, sneak attack. They're making it to where, well, a couple of changes they're making on sneak attack. One is you can do it with a spell or something that requires a saving throw, which is brand new, right? The other thing is they're going to allow you to do non-lethal ranged attacks. And that could be something that, you know what, no one even thinks about, because hey, I never even thought about that. But as a DM, I'm thinking, I always think about that, right? When a player is saying, I'm going to attack this person, but I don't want to kill them. So, well, don't use a ranged attack then, because you can't do that. But now you're going to be able to. So it's just those little tweaks. Okay, so maybe that's the patching that people talk about. But to me, that's the things to patch, right? You mentioned at the beginning, Gregory, which I think you made a great point that everybody knows about, is Rangers. Jeremy Crawford made a point. He said the one class that is a brand, essentially, he didn't even say essentially. He said it is a brand new subclass in the book is Ranger. He said they had to take it from the ground up, tear it down, and totally rebuild it and make it fun to play. Which they did. Which, you know, Beastmaster sounds like it's going to be an awesome class to play now. So
totally. Yeah, I like that they basically did as much as they can from the ground up. And whereas they took, like, for instance, a Warlock, and they only did that with some of the subclasses, and the ones that people love, they just tried to enhance it, giving spells and abilities earlier access, and more options. That's the thing that sounds super cool to me too. Like, more than anything, is it feels like they are going to give players just a lot more options,
right?
You know, lots of new and exciting ways to do the thing you want to do, which that's awesome.
Yeah, and I guess we'd be remiss if we don't bring up probably the one thing that people are, and maybe justifiably, but are kind of some of the outrage I'm hearing is what I guess is being considered a debuff to the paladins. People won't be. Way to go, Dan. Did you just take out the boss? Awesome.
No,
one of us did.
Oh, that was you.
So pretty much functionally the same thing.
I said you did all the. Did he just steal your kill?
Yeah, he did.
But on the paladin, basically what they're doing is they're taking away basically the ability to go Nova. They're going to make it basically where you can only smite once per round. You can't do it. It's going to be basically, I think, a bonus action. I could be off on that. But it's not going to be...
interesting. But at the same time, aren't they going to be able to smite way more often?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, not often. Way more time. Like, the numbers of times they can do it is increased or something.
Yeah, well, both.
Like, they can...
Sorry, but I was going to say, I think it's both.
For free or whatever.
Yep. Well, they're going to give you more times you can do it, but they're also going to be doing you get them back at a short rest, or before you can get
Yes.
into a long rest. So you're gonna
Yeah.
get them. You're gonna be able to restore them quicker. And at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, a paladin doing 100 points of damage at 4th or 5th level kind of stole a lot of the fun for other players. Whether I
Sure.
mean, there's people who that's their thing is DPS.
Right.
And
Yeah, they love to go Nova.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's going to be interesting to see how people accept that. Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. Let me just go ahead and steal all your guys'
Really?
gold here really quick.
You punk. You're on your own for the moment.
Right. Just keep dropping a few bombs here.
This is a long map. Try not to die. So, okay, there's the other thing. The last thing I want to talk about, the 2020
Sure.
thing. Is it a cash grab? Because some people are going to say it's a cash grab. This is 5e
Oh,
with
yeah,
a
of
few
course.
tweaks, and now they're suddenly selling new books. Worked on
Right.
us, right?
Well, I mean, look,
Very
there's
talented.
2 options. They either make a new version altogether, they improve the current version, which is what I prefer, or they try to keep coming up with new, what do you call it, content like adventure module type stuff.
Yeah.
But it's 10 years. Like it was due for an update. Stuff was
Yeah.
broken, right? Some things worked horribly. Some things worked too well. So it made the game feel like, broken in some ways. So yeah, I think it's perfect timing, and I don't see it as a cash grab to me, because I don't have a problem with capitalism on that level. Like,
Exactly.
I don't
Well,
think
there's some
they're
people
I
in
don't
the
think
hobby
they're
who really
doing
do.
anything underhanded. Sorry.
No, it was a green.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, to your point, Dan, there are people that do, and the first thing they'll go to is, well, look at Cobalt Press. Do you not think that Cobalt Press, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, they create great content.
Yeah.
But when WotC stumbled and the whole fiasco, the debacle blew up on the OGL, do you
Yeah.
not think their leadership was not in saying, all right, how are we going to capitalize off this?
Oh, absolutely.
And they should have been. If they weren't,
Right.
then they're doing a disservice to their owners and to their staff for that.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right. So I guess, is it a cash? I don't think it's a cash grab, because I think they're putting the time into it.
Totally.
If they came out with this and spent 2 months on it, yeah, I would say it's a cash grab.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got a new cover and some,
Yeah.
a few new
Same rules.
items or some, bogus stuff like that. Yeah. But the way they've approached it, you're exactly right, Dan. It's like, how could you even think that when they're making this, like, some things are almost entirely new, like almost from the ground up.
Yeah, I was just simply saying. It's like Shattered
no,
Opalist.
it's great.
half
No,
that
it's a
book
great,
is-
yeah, it's an
is
awesome
Lost
question.
Minds.
It's out there.
But yeah, they D&D is, it's a funny thing. Like I almost, and I'll catch shit over this, but I almost feel bad for Hasbro because they bought IP that doesn't make money. You're
Eat that. I'm sorry, guys.
what?
I didn't mean to eat the food. I was
Oh.
going to leave it for you guys, but I actually
you're fine.
I misjudged
But-
the spacing.
The D&D community is above average intelligence people, above average
Fair.
intelligence creativity, who can easily take 5e and extend it out as long as we want it to.
Yeah.
Like we'll just homebrew the fixes we want to make, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you make money? How do you sell books to somebody who doesn't need them? Not to mention 50 years
Interesting.
of adventures that I don't know why anybody has a problem just going back in time. And I like pulling out old adventures and like just porting them to 5e, and then boom, you're done. I think it's fun to show it's like, this came out in the 70s and you're playing this. Like when my players were new, I definitely like, this is a gelatinous cube that is, I'm pretty sure Gary Gygax
Yeah.
was eating some Jello one day and he's like, you know what?
That's hysterical.
Yeah, what would it feel like
But,
to be encased in this? I don't know, it might
Yes.
be fun, but
But it,
That's
so I don't know how you make money off of D&D. It's like trying to make money off of doodling. Everybody can do it themselves. And,
Mhm.
to me, buying official content is almost like tipping. Like it's just tipping the hobby as a whole. Like I'm not needing it. All my stuff is homebrewed anyways. If I buy an adventure, it's just for the funsies, not to because I ever even intend to run it.
Oh, you should have let the warrior get the food.
Well, I think we all needed it. So, but yeah,
it's all
we'll
good.
watch for the next
one. One of us needed it a disproportional amount of.
That's what I was trying to say.
All right,
it's all good.
You get the next one.
Yeah, you guys have fun tanking.
Good point. Valid point.
Wait, is there good? No. Gold though. One to use, no doubt. One to steal.
Oh shoot!
Oh, Spike's got me. Didn't matter.
I haven't heard that before. There goes the elf. That's hysterical. One of the things that I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier about the VTT, the 3D VTT specifically, I guess, because to me that has so much potential. Because one of the complaints there was about 4th edition was that I heard a lot of people say 4th edition made the game too much like a video game, which I didn't have an issue with it, and I didn't feel like that was a case at all. It was like, to me, it was just a very mechanical game. That's it. It was just like very mechanical. And I like mechanics. I like the different, stat blocks and different options and skills and what have you. So I enjoyed that. I am thinking that I sort of lost my train of thought. Talking
about the virtual tabletop and 4th edition.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, thank you. As we're playing Gauntlet here, right? So with Baldur's Gate 3. You have a whole different set of players that their introduction to Dungeons and Dragons was through video games.
Yeah.
My introduction to Dungeons and Dragons was cartoons and books. Like I saw the advertisements on television for the red box and the gold box and the blue box. And like, I got excited about that. And I watched a cartoon in the 70s that was dope, or the early 80s, actually, I suppose. That was like amazing to me. And I loved it. And then I started playing because I found this cool game that other people played. And it got, even more exciting because, oh, wow, it's not just something that I do with my younger brother because we got the box, and so we might as well play the game because we have the game, so other people do this, and I had a very different introduction to it than a lot of this like next generation where they saw Baldur's Gate 3, they saw maybe somebody turned them on to Critical Role or something, and then they're like, oh, role-playing game, tabletop role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons, that sounds cool. I thought it was just some weird, goofy thing that people talked about. Let me give it a try. So they're coming to it from a completely different direction. So I'm curious to see how the virtual tabletop plays into what they do with the game. I really feel like I love D&D Beyond.
Yeah,
make sure you get that key back there. There was a key over there, and there's one there too. I love D&D Beyond. It is such an amazing tool. Oops, you wasted the key, but that's okay. Don't open that door. You don't need it. Just save the key for the next level. There's something really powerful about the tool that is Dungeons and Dragons, that is D&D Beyond, right? So what I hope they do, and I wish they did, they had an opportunity. I wish that the bundle was more like, buy all the books early and we'll give you the digital copy. To me, that was what I was sort of hoping and expecting, but I understand, as we said, it's a business. So, they'll give you a discount on buying them all at once or buying them early or whatever. And that's fine. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. I think the VTT, if it's well executed, could be a real boon because there are like, let me bring another dimension into what I'm trying to say. when I started playing, most of the people that I played with, we all did Theater of the Mind. We really didn't have a lot of miniatures. We didn't really set up maps. We didn't do that kind of gaming. Then we found out about like Games Workshop, what do you call it? And Warhammer and this kind of stuff, right? And so we started playing that. We're like, wait a minute, we could use miniatures for our game. That's kind of neat. And so then we slowly started introducing miniatures into our game. Now we have virtual tabletops, which functionally let us use miniatures, they're digital miniatures, and play the game. So if a 3D tabletop was executed in a way that made it somehow feel a little bit more like a game, and yet still maintained all of what we're doing with our tabletop experience, our actual role playing and that kind of thing, if they could like somehow like really beautifully and hopefully seamlessly zipper those two things together, that could be huge for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, for sure.
I could write a book on what I think a VTT should be, because I built one.
Just happened to.
And I have very strong opinions on it. But I think it should just be
because you have that experience.
Yeah. I mean, whenever you go to build one, you really start to think about like, wants to play online as if it's a video game instead of a table game. I don't know. These came up with the ideas of the play. It's online. It's working out something.
You're broken up a little bit there, Daniel. I'm not sure.
Me?
Yeah, my connection was a little funky too.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you.
Yeah, I kind of got the gist of what you were saying. But
one of the number one things that I need from the 3D VTT is I need the ability to put a 2D map on the table and run it with dynamic lighting without having to build a full 3D scene. They have to do that. If they can't do that, then I can't use it, because I'm not going to sit here and build out 3D.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, the map's going to be real interesting to see how they implement it.
All right, guys. Well, I don't know what you guys think, but I think this is a great place to stop. Man, this has been awesome. I can't wait to do this again. Gregory, thanks for joining us.
Very
man,
fun.
You're first on our list to join us again. This was an awesome time. Man, if any of you out there watching have any topics you want us to talk about, as we've demonstrated, we may talk about a lot of other things too. But if you have any games you want us to play, let us know. We're happy to try different games. Other than that, man, we're Gregory, man, we're looking forward to, if you've got the time, we're looking forward to more content from you. Please check out all of our videos. Give us a like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to us yet. If you enjoyed this, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Dan, you have anything you want to say?
No. It was a good time. I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Greg, thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. I hope we can do it again soon, because it was tons of fun, and y'all have very interesting perspectives and ideas about the game, and I learned a lot from both of you, so I love it.
Maybe next time we'll pick up Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know. I have an idea how we might be able to do PvP.
Daniel loves sicking players on each other, so. All right, man. Okay, it was a lot of fun. See you next time.
Yep, see you guys.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. It was awesome to be able to sit with Dan and Daniel. They're great guys, and like I said, I really look forward to doing this again in the future. I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you're one of my old fans and you've been around for a while, I haven't put up a video in quite some time, and well, I guess this is my welcome back to YouTube or something. I intend to put some new videos out soon. I've had some great stuff in the works, and now is the time. I'm feeling excited about posting more content. I would love for you to be a part of that, and I would also love, as always, to see you at a table someday. Until then, please keep rolling 20s, and remember, it's your game. Play your